Welcome to a very it's open season. I'm gonna let that vibe in real quick. But it's open season. How many are really ready? How many are really ready for the next phase? How many how many are really ready for the next phase? How many are really ready for the what it really takes? Over this week, as I was preparing, getting them downloads in, doing dropping so much heat. If you have not tuned in to the God Hour podcast, it is available on multiple platforms, including Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, Breaker, Google Podcasts. So if you've not tuned into that, this week's episode was Liberty. Give me liberty, I choose death. And everything that you're coming into in this level, when you're coming to this phase, is about you standing in your truth. And I got into a little bit last week on a couple earlier in the week on a couple pieces during Meditate and Elevate, during my bill with my the guy, my brother Wally G on Facebook. And interesting questions came up that left me that were right in that synchronization with what this lecture is going into. There's a difference between, and Dr. David Blair breaks this down. Bobby Hemmett also breaks it down when he did Artificial Intelligence 1 and 2. I broke some of it down on Artificial Lights. Brother Panic broke it down in the genetics. But one thing that stuck out to me was when Dr. David Blair explained mankind, humans, between mankind and humanity, mankind and humans. We are, as written, as you see in any text that you read, we are interdimensional light beings having a human experience. This physical manifestation that we're in now as being, this physical manifestation that we are in, that I'm in this vessel, is the manifestation based upon my soul. This is the physical manifestation of the human or the mortal God. We're going out of being the mortal God into becoming the God, to becoming that androgynous, becoming that God, becoming that goddess. But there are things that we still don't seem to understand, and then we do understand that we're 1 foot in and we're 1 foot out. One thing that stood out to me this week, I remember when I was going through my Netflix, and they got a whole section just dedicated for Black Lives Matter and their support. I'm looking at people throwing pictures that they got Black Lives Matter in front of the White House. I'm looking at certain companies saying they support the Black Lives Matter. And then I thought about it. As quick as somebody can find out and get the information and fact check and get the research on Black Lives Matter being created and funded by George Soros, Why the fuck are we so, and this is a generalized statement, would I say? Why are we so in tune with still having a little bit of nothing? Is a little bit of something is better than nothing. These liberties that we fight for, who are they for? The liberties are for humans, for humankind. We have to understand that just as we're taking our transition into becoming, going from being that humanity aspect into becoming gods, and that God, that androgynous, that next level, our higher self, we got to understand that there's a shift happening based on the side effects. The side effects are going to mimic what we're doing. And I thought about it when I was watching the video with forgot the white girl name, but she named out a bunch of facts about Black Wall Street, and she named out a bunch of facts, and she was doing a bunch of dances. And I was looking at the comments, because this is also what we're going to get into now. We're going to get into tonight, we're going to get into observation, what observation is and what motherfuckers are still not doing. Observation. We're going to get into observations. We're going to get into observation. We're going to get into understanding based on racism, what racism is. Racism is just genetics. We're going to get into a lot of shit tonight. Leave them them questions that are burning that you're going to want to ask. Go ahead and write your questions down. Get them ready, because we're going to have a bomb-ass fucking answer question and answer period. We're going to get very, very deep tonight. I appreciate everybody. You can be anywhere in the world, and this also shows you can be anywhere right now, but you're in a space to acquire knowledge. You're in a space that is going to shock egos, it's going to shock humanity, that's going to make you question things. And that's the aspect. True knowledge makes you question things. True knowledge takes you to that next level, that it takes you out of that dead zone, that stagnation. It forces you to go forward. But back to the thing at hand. And this goes into the protesters and all that shit. I'm feeling real good. Have my spiritual bath, my nice spiritual cleanse, empowerment, prosperity. Got my energy on in alignment, because I've taken on a lot of energy and taken on a lot of new clients and consultations and just building. But she did a whole bunch of things. She said a whole bunch of facts about Black Wall Street. She did a whole bunch of black dances. She showed that she was down in unity. The aspect of you becoming a god is not for unity. That one foot in, one foot out mentality, if that's where you're at, this is where that failure to appear is happening. When we see aspects like this, like a Black Lives Matter, and then we see all of a sudden we see a good old Al Sharpton hop up and talking about we're going to march on DC, and we're talking about protests, and we're talking about all these entities, that is another indication that we're not showing up to do what we need to do. That's what that is. When you set yourself into this atonement of allowing your energy to continuously be siphoned within a space, all you're showing is you're not coming up, you're not coming in, you're not coming in to yourself, you're not coming in to do what you need to do. You want the same things to keep happening. You don't want no challenge. You love the conflict that you're in. So back to this white girl. She did the video. She stated some facts, stated some very good facts. On the intellectual level, if somebody didn't know, they knew then. They knew then. But since you didn't go for the information yourself, or you didn't acquire that information yourself, you leave yourself in the same siphon of somebody else fed you so they can also starve you. You have to understand that mankind, or what was created at this level in this realm, we don't get deep into this when we get some Gnostic text. What was created within this realm was mankind. Mankind was created within this realm. The Tamahu, I always forget the three archetypes. The yellow man, the white man and I think it's the yellow man, the white man, and the red man. These aspects were created in this realm. They were created in this realm. That's mankind. The only humans on this realm are the ones that are of the first seed. They're of the first generation, the first seed. Being of the first generation and the first seed, that is humanity. The second seed was the Tamahus, and everything else went after that. No, the last seed, actually, the last seed that was created, the last light that was created of mankind were the white man. You can go and look at, I actually found a book. It's a book called Dirt. Panic goes in it. It's a lecture from like 5-6 years ago. He goes in and he briefly goes through the book called Dirt. It's talking about the social and the economic and the rise of dirt, or the Tamu. How they came in, how we went there, how the Moors went and did that thing, and then the Moors went into an aspect like, we just gonna fuck them and then turn them back. And everybody went back in trying to change this parasite. This is what's in Gnostic text. And these are 3 aspects that we're going to get into. You cannot fix anything that is inherently flawed. You cannot fix anything that was inherently flawed. This realm was inherently flawed. Earth was inherently flawed. Here are some backgrounds to let you understand why Earth is inherently flawed. Earth goes through seasons. Earth goes through seasons and it never destroys itself. I mean, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. You cannot fix something that was already inherently flawed. That is one of the biggest things that the Gnostics teach, that actually talked about. You cannot fix anything that's inherently flawed. With that, everything that you're doing or being done at this level, this is when I go deeper. And I always talked about, you cannot fix anything at the level at where it was created at. You got to step above it to understand it and observe it. You're not going to get another cycle and another season of a Black Wall Street. You're not going to get another season of a Black Wall Street. You ain't going to get another season of the Cosby Show, A Different World. You're not going to get another season of that. We're out of that season. We are in that was the age, that was based upon the age of belief. That Pisces era, that was the age of belief. We're now in that age of knowing. We're out of the age of belief and standing by a belief and building on the belief system. So when we get stuck in these aspects and stuck within something like of our shadow work, and that's what we have to work on and what we have to get through, these are one of the things that we get stuck in. We get stuck in this aspect of, I don't want to go too far, because what about if somebody catch up? You cannot live in 2 houses. You can't be in 2 spaces. I broke some of this down yesterday in my build on Facebook Live with my man Wally. Your intention and your attention have to be in balance. Everything must come to a balance. So if my intentions are to learn, are to become more, to tap into my abundance, tap into my prosperity, tap into my wealth, tap into my strength, tap into my own true power, my attention cannot be on anything external that only is based upon maintaining or sustaining that. My intention cannot be sustained with on the light. So I know in order to tap into these things, I have to tap into the dark. I have to tap into my darkness. That's where that shadow work comes in. I got to tap into this darkness on this side. If I'm not tapping into this darkness, and my mind still stuck on, I did this and I got this and I got this and I got this, everything that my intention is going to invoke is going to challenge everything on this side based upon how this was created. When you're bringing down the Christos energy, that second coming energy, that Christos energy, that second coming, your first awakening, it shatters everything and brings everything to the light that needs to be brought to the light. It brings every discrepancy and every flaw within you, just like it brings every flaw and discrepancy within them to the surface. This is where people get stuck and it becomes open season. It's open season either for your ego or it's open season either for you getting into you. It's open season for your ego or it's open season for you getting into you. You tapping into your true self. There's no in between. The only in between is purgatory, where you're going to suffer from both ends. And then you're going to find yourself out of alignment. So let's get back to the white girl. She did the dances. She did 2 videos. First video, she did like a couple new dances. She did a stanky leg at the end. And the next one, she did some little soft shoeing. And I'm looking at this video and I'm like, yo, that's the same similarity as when the white congressman or the president, the white congressman, whoever that elected, that politician goes into the black neighborhood or goes into the black church and tells them a bunch of things that they're going to need. I understand your pain. I understand this. And if you vote for me, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I understand this. And he points a beautiful motherfucking picture. Gives you everything that you want to fucking hear. Gives you everything that you need to feel good. But the aspect is, it will not be done on the other side. This is where we get stuck based on observation. Because I've observed a lot this fucking week. I've observed a lot over the last few weeks coming to this point. That's why I've come to this point like, damn, a lot of shit is coming into light. I made a post on Netflix. Made a post on Facebook. I was like, y'all are excited over street signs and streets being colored, similar to like niggas were getting excited when they got MLK Boulevard. Time loop. And y'all excited about Netflix giving y'all a spot in support. Did they pay you? Did they let you get Netflix for free for a year or so? Did they get you? Did when they painted that down? Did they create a budget to stimulate your economy? Did the cops that were standing and white people that are standing with you in the protests and y'all all holding your hands up in solidarity? Did they invite you into their home? They will always need you more than you need them. You are their parents. The thing that is going to stop you is not realizing you're upset with everybody playing their exact role. Their role is naturally, inherently destructive based on infatuation, lust, everything based on fear. Their natural thing is destruction. So everything they do is always going on a destructive manner. So think about that. If I get you to stop rioting, stop causing chaos, because I'm showing you solidarity, I'm keeping you locked down because this is why. Towards the end, when Martin Luther King, he said, "I'm afraid I brought my people into a burning house." That house has been burning ever since. So why in my mind, why in my right mind, why in my right sight would I continuously accept inclusion and equality and liberties that are only based for humanity? I'm about liberation. My liberation is based on the libations that I pour into myself. And only I alone can pour into myself. Only you alone can pour that energy into yourself. That self-love, that self-realization, all of that shit into yourself. You only can pour that into yourself. Nobody else can pour any more into you than you already poured into yourself. So the video looks nice. They look nice standing in unity. They look nice. But it's both sides of the fucking card. Their morale, you have to look at these numbers. People want to pull up numbers. Their mortality, their death rate is higher than their birth rate. Still, they've done everything they possibly could at this level to depopulate black people, keep you from getting ahead, keep you from doing all these things, and you still succeed and go forward in some way, shape, or form. They can't do that. They do not have that energy source. They don't have the soul. I was watching a lecture the other day that says it's possible for them to get a soul. Yes. The process for us acquiring to open to our soul and tap into our true self is part 2. It requires humility. All of these steps are going to require humility. So for us to tap into our own soul and open up our divine heart, let that heart chakra glow, get that Iron Man glow to it, we got to be humble to our heart. We have to accept what we have to stop accepting what they want. We have to stop accepting what they are telling us that we are under what they're saying what we are. The person that has the power to define has the power to is the same person that controls your emotion that has the power to define. That is your master. I have the power to define myself. I have the power of my emotions. I have the power of the balance and manifestations, my abundance, my prosperity, my wealth, my strength, everything. I have power. That is mine. Nobody can take that away from me. No one can have any of that unless I let them have it. When you get to this point, the things based upon humanity, the humanity aspect that we get stuck in is hoping and wishing that somebody soon, like maybe they'll do it this week, or maybe they'll do it this month, or maybe they'll do it this time. All of these fundamental thought forms that you put into your mind as you're moving forward through your day-to-day are the things that leave you shut down. So let's get deeper into it was a noble gesture to parents. The ones that are coming into, this is one way to look at it. So, let me finish that part. For mankind, it is possible for them to get a soul, but they must become humble to that of what birthed them. They must become humble and acknowledge who are their parents. We're their parents. Those are your children. All of every thought that you, and this is also as above, so below. As they need to admit that you come into humanity, you must admit that you step out of humanity. That's where the balance comes from. This is another aspect of understanding everything around you is meant to be learned from. As you look at this level, I'm at this level down here, I'm at this level up here, I realize that everything below me is in exactly where it needs to be. They're following their script. They're following their script, their codes, everything that's been coded within them. The problem with us based on the genetics and over that entire period of time where they shifted our genetics and based on genetics shift and turn certain shit off, that's what you're coming out of. Everything that you identify with based on how they define it, based under a color, based under a word, a color, whatever it may be, that's the shit you got to break away from. So how many are really ready if, and this is the aspect, this is you go into Gnostic teachings, you cannot be in both houses. Human thought is the ultimate sin. Human thought is the ultimate sin, and sin is the byproduct of ignorance. So to think anything less, the key, once you understand and get this fundamental in your mind, you have mastered humanity on the intellectual level. Now all you got to do is do the work. We're not understanding humanity on the intellectual level because there's too many facets within it that we're not getting the signs or the synonymous algorithms of each space. Space. We're not getting understanding the algorithms of each space. Just like your zodiac has your rising, your setting, your north node, your south node. Those are the ciphers within your life, your tree of life, that you must understand to break free from. Those are the different ciphers within your tree of life, your singular tree of life, your tree of life, that you have to understand and break into and understand. Getting stuck on, oh, I'm an Aquarius, or I'm a Capricorn, I'm a Leo, I'm a Gemini. You getting stuck on one aspect or the other and saying, oh, just because I'm an Aquarius, I got to be this way, and I'm doomed to be this way. That's what you're telling yourself. You're shutting yourself down every time you go into this fundamental factor, now understanding those are the building blocks of you. Those pieces are used to understand yourself. Being stifled within the piety or the pious is part of your programming. It's part of the programming that you got to break the fuck free from. That piety, that pious. Because until you understand this, that piety and that pious that you stand by is a fundamental program. So as long as you have a piety or a prudeness towards something on that's basically on the humane, mundane level, everything can activate based on that. Your traumas, events that have happened, events that are going to happen, all of these aspects are going to line up in that space as you go forward. All that shit's going to line up right in place and play off of your internal mechanisms that you have not yet discovered or not yet unlocked. That's why Mercury retrograde can fuck you up. That's why the retrograde can fuck you up. And you'll feel it. I'm at a level now that whenever a retrograde hits, it's a moment of feeding. I'm at a level now where I'm humble, and it's so beautiful to have it that I'm at a level of feeding. I feed from every aspect because I celebrate every aspect. Just like your external, your oppressor studies and celebrates your downfall based on just the thing about the distraction. It don't matter if it's Pizzagate, it don't matter if it's Lasagna Gate, it don't matter what the fuck gate, whatever they doing, based on where they at, what they do in their space. It don't matter what they do. It don't matter what comes to the surface. As long as you paying attention to the distraction, they win. As long as you're paying attention to the distraction, they win. What I mean by paying attention is that you become invested in the distraction. You become invested based upon your energy, your currency, your energy that's out of balance, so it's in motion. So you're letting them overdraw your account on constant distractions. They win. That's how my emotions got the best of me. I don't believe what came over me. You allowed them to take you off of your square. You allowed them to let you stay on that. There's two different plates. There's your pressure. There's two different plates. When you come into your spiritual, when you come into your consciousness, when you come into your awakening, you're learning how to stand on your own square. You ever felt just in your whole entire, you ever just felt when you just standing somewhere, sitting somewhere, and you just feel a little off balance, you just feel a little off key, you feel a little drained, your energy's off? That's because you're standing on the wrong square. You're trying to balance on two squares. There's one square that's, and the way I break it down, there's one square. You take one square, kind of like, we'll take this bag of, I'm not going to say what's in this bag, my natural herbs. You take this bag right here. This is the square that you're standing on. Under that square is a pressure plate connected to your energy. Everything that you're worried about, you think about, every one of the line of your insecurities and all of that's connected to one tether. Your job, your family, all that's connected to another tether. All of these things are connected to these tethers. That's how this plate stays in place. So it's rocking back and forth, rock, back and forth. It's rocking back and forth. You're trying to keep this plate balanced, but every time you step on this plate, it triggers this plate that's under it. It triggers this plate that's under it. This plate is your identity. This plate is your ego. Your ego is beneath you. Humanity is beneath you. You're a God. This is beneath you. It's beneath you. So every time you step on this square of what your identity has given you to make you feel that's you, that's been based upon everything that you've been through, you activate this pressure plate. This plate is connected to everything within this realm. So if I step on this plate and my energy engages this plate, every thought form, everything that's in my mind based upon oppression and equality and liberties, I just want to be an American, and all of them aspects, they're connected to that, and much more are connected to that pressure plate. So they get your energy. So you'll never be in balance if you are not standing in your true self. So then there's the other square. Gnostic text shows you that you cannot be in both spaces. It's impossible for me at this level. And I went through over 12 years, 6 of the 10 years I was in depression. I didn't even know I was in depression because my environment was on the frequency of the vibrate of my depression. So I didn't know I was under depression. A lot of us are still in a depressed state. Your ego is a part of that depressed state. Humanity is a part of that depressed state. At this point in time in my journey, it is infinitely impossible for me to be depressed when I know my only goal is to get the information. My only goal is to acquire knowledge and spread knowledge. The abundance of the knowledge comes naturally, the wealth, the prosperity, everything else flows naturally as I'm standing on my square. Now here's this other square that you stand on. This square right here is the square that is your truth. This is the square of your knowledge. This is the square of you standing on when you study, your scholarship, your reading, you opening the books, you getting those channels, you tapping in higher and higher into yourself. This square is right here, rooted in your truth. It's rooted in your dark. It's that dark. Remember, the roots got to go to hell before the trees and everything else rise into heaven. It got to get nurtured by everything down here. So what is in your soil? What are you cultivating? It's open season. You can grow anything the fuck you want to grow. So if you take these aspects right here and them roots go down and it's grabbed on, it's gravitating, my plant is growing. And this is my plant. I'm gonna do my plant like this. And the skull is the top of my tree. I'm standing on my square. Nothing can take me off my square. My square is firmly rooted. This is the aspect based on the metaphysical understanding of if the tree has no roots, it dies. This is one of the aspects when they talk about Mansa Musa. When we're talking about these history lessons and we're talking about this shit that we came from, such as Mansa Musa translates into was a true figure. But if you are not understanding the principles of what Mansa Musa represented in principles, this is how you learn and take that energy. You take that you take that aspect from that space and you take it to the next level. Mansa Musa's wealth, if he walked into any place, any state, any country, it would topple economies. How do I take that? Greetings. How do I take that to the next level? Every time I step into the space, my enemy, it topples. My energy topples any space that I step into. My energy shifts any room, any space, any place that I'm in. That shit don't faze me. My shit shine brighter than that. I'm tapped into my own energy. I'm tapped into the power source that is my power source. Everything else comes through me. So anything that somebody can say down to, you're a bunch of niggas. Nah, nigga, I'm a god. Better yet, I'm a titan, but you ain't ready for that. This is the ultimate confidence because you're standing in your knowing. Most people get stuck, and this is a generalized aspect. Most people are stuck on being the aspect of being black, not understanding that as a god, you outside of the spectrum, outside of as being a god, you are outside of the aspect of color at this human level, based on mankind and humanity. If anybody's done their astral projections and you went out there, there's colors that you cannot explain on this spectrum. Those are the colors that I am. So you can say you can battle back and forth so you understand these certain aspects and certain arguments become asinine and redundant because it no longer concerns you. It's no longer you. You being stuck on it based on emotional content, based on anybody else that hasn't gotten that information yet. All you're showing them this is some real shit. If I was in my house talking shit and I was like, yeah, I'm the biggest and baddest, I'm the baddest. And I go on the street, I'm in the block, I'm like, I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest thus far. And then somebody whooped my ass. How'd they whoop my ass? Because I wasn't standing on my square of my knowledge of knowing what I can do. I wasn't humble to the knowledge I was standing on in my square of what I can do. We're going out of this aspect of belief and going into an aspect of knowing. That aspect of a boxer, if a boxer does not, you can look at Mike Tyson, you can look at any boxer. I love boxing, so I always use the boxing aspects. When a boxer goes into the ring, they automatically know they're going to win. The utmost confidence. Their intention is to win because their attention has been groomed by everything that is going to take them to win. They are open to scholarship and studying their opponent. Watch hours and hours and hours. My uncle used to have us watch hours and hours and hours of fight videos. What did you see? We watch 50 minutes. We watch about 15 minutes of a video. He stopped it. What did you see? Take it all the way back to the beginning. All right, cool. Look for that. And now, what did you see? My uncle dissected by observing. We have to get into an observational state when we're looking at these things. An observational state requires you to have your emotions in balance. You're not looking for a win. You're studying. You came here to study. Everything else is a byproduct of your study or lack thereof. If you're not studying, you notice that the lesson keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. If you notice, motherfuckers aren't studying. That's why the protesting and the rioting is going over and over and over again. What are you learning from the situation? What are you learning from it? It would be a grand gesture for me to sit here and be like, yeah, they pedophiles and they sick and all that shit. That's not my standpoint. I handle those things in personal realm as they come to my space. But this is how you defeat and become proactive. Anything else is reactive. As long as you still have a hatred for something, as long as you have a hatred or a fear of something, it's because you have a lack of understanding of it. You're still stuck within the bounds with something inside of yourself that resonates with that you have not figured out and you have not solved. Everything is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So if I walked outside and said I hated riding fucking bike, I hate riding the fucking bike. I hate niggas that ride bikes. I hate niggas that roller skate. I hate niggas that rollerblade, skateboard. If I said that shit, sound like a grumpy old man walking outside saying that shit. Is it because I didn't learn how to? Is it because I had a bad experience on a bike? Is it because I had a bad experience on a skateboard? Is it because I didn't have that? I didn't get to have that experience? What the fuck is it? This is shadow work 101. I have to be able to look at myself and work on myself in full before I expect. And I don't expect shit. I only accept what comes and adjust. In the observational state, you are accepting what comes and you are learning as it goes. I don't expect anything. I need not, want not. Anything I desire, I create based on the knowledge of what it is. I'm fully confident in my abilities based on my intention and me working on myself. And that's how I step forward. I cannot be I cannot be a psychoanalyst. I could not dive into being a psychoanalyst. I cannot dive into going deep into somebody's mind and taking the noise and helping them put that noise in alignment if I did not first do it to myself and truly be successful and truly be prosperous and abundant in my shit. I can't do that without that. This is the missing key to what we're doing as we move forward. We're still getting caught in the tops. We're still getting caught in the ups and downs of shit. So it leaves us in a state of liberty. Oh, I have the independence to do whatever I want. No, you have the independence to do whatever you can. True self-sufficiency. I sit back. I can have a conversation on Facebook Live with my man Wally, my homegirl, the Goddess Rebel, and we talking about other aspects of other things. That's self-sufficiency. That's liberation. We're stuck in the liberty phase. What can be given to you, and if you have not listened to the God Hour podcast, the episode Give Me Liberty, I Choose Death. After this, even while this is going on, because we're going to be here, go listen to it. It's on Spotify and all the other channels. But if you're clinging on to liberties based upon humanity, how the fuck can you become liberated as a God? If you're stuck within the liberties of based on humanity, how the fuck can you sit here and say you're a God? If you're upset with how things are going down at this level, how the fuck can you call yourself a God? How can you be, you are serving chaos. The overthinking is serving chaos. You're supposed to be becoming chaos in order to control chaos, in order to feed from the chaos. Every symbol that they use is yours. From the pinnacle, to the amulets, to the seals of Moses, to the swastika, all those them symbols, and almost every other symbol that they use is a symbol originated for you. So by you showing a distaste or a fear for something or denouncing something because you have a lack of understanding in it, this is a contradiction. How can I say that I'm a God, I'm the Christ, and in the same breath say Jesus ain't real? Think of how you reprogramming yourself. You programming yourself to say you ain't real. It's not until you understand that where that aspect came from and broke that down and understood that allegory and how it was put together and fashioned from the Gnostic teachings, that you understand that that's what they took everything that was based upon everything that was of suffering based on humanity. It made you believe that that's what you have to go through within humanity. That's what you're supposed to cling to first. So when you start doing shit, you're doing it on the most mundane of levels. You getting infatuated based on the lower level and not understanding what love is. You having sex on the lower level, not understanding what and even when you get to an aspect to even higher, most motherfuckers only get to the tantrum. And this is based on you looking at it from the aspect of, ooh, that looks nice, instead of saying, damn, what part of that is me? If you understand the truest encompassing of understanding something like sex, sacred energy exchange, is all energy is sacred when it's exchanged. You have to break yourself out of the fundamental subjects and step into the understanding of the higher path or the higher algorithms. My energy is fucking sacred. So every time I exchange it, when I exchange my energy, it's under the presume that it's under being accepted based on it being sacred. And the only way that your energy can become sacred and you standing in your sacred abundance of your energy is if you start doing that work. Until then, you're going to have the imbalances. Until then, that's why you have the unhealed that cannot become healed, because the normalcy in the shame aspect is too fucking. The shame aspect based upon humanity makes it impossible to heal. The shame aspect, the pious aspect, I'm too good for that aspect. It's only meant for this aspect. Those contexts are what have people locked within not going further into themselves. It's an avid fear. So you're infatuated with what you're getting based off of fear. You're infatuated based on the attention. You don't even understand what's toxic, because the toxicity is within you. When you get the book Dirt, or you read any creation story, you can even read the book of Moses. The book of Moses is the same creation story that's within Dirt, in the same one that the honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Within them is a plague. Within them is a plague. A toxicity that has been created. The plague that's inside white people are the side effects of everything that is not, that you have to learn from. So they're always going to be behind you. So how the fuck are they oppressing you? Inside them is a plague that they have to first get rid of in order to do anything else. So how are they oppressing you? How can something that came out after you that you parented be oppressing you? They're recycling the great works that you've already done. We're stuck in this aspect of not understanding what we have done and embracing what we have done and saying, I did this, this, and this. What can I do next? How did I do this? That's the studying aspect. How did we do this? We did it based on thought. Their aspect based on destruction is devoid of love, is devoid of the aspect of love. Their aspect based on destruction is based on infatuation, lust, and getting a high or getting an addiction. When your mind is programmed and it's at an imbalance, this is why the addiction hits. This is why we're so subjected to become addicted to things so quickly and so fast. Because within us are the algorithms based upon the addiction itself. Not having a full understanding of the content of what it is. It's not that we're addicted to it. It's the factoid that something with it's doing something to us that we lost trace and track of understanding how we can do it within ourselves. So if I take the aspect of any psychedelic, I take shrooms or whatever, LSD, whatever these things are, acid, whatever it may be. People always say, yo, I had a bad trip. Or saying you had a bad trip off shrooms or any psychedelic is like saying you had bad luck. No. What the shroom does is naturally enhances and brings to the surface what's already naturally within inside you. Your identity then connects to it and says, in order for us to do more of that, we have to have that. That's intellectual. That's why when they dissect things, whenever you look at, we had this purpose that in order to understand something, when you looked at the old cultures, when they taught under the tree, they were taught about that tree, the history of that tree, the background of that tree. They were taught while being under that tree. They were taught while feeding that tree. They were taught about how many families that tree helped within that space. That's how they interfaced on every level with that tree. That's how you interface with every level on your tree. There is no such thing as coincidence and mistakes. It's infinite probabilities and infinite possibilities. So if I sit here and say, damn, I met a Gemini, my North Node is in Gemini. Damn, I met a Sagittarius, my little sister's a Sagittarius. Damn, my South Node's a Sagittarius. Damn, I met a Leo. Shit, my moon sign is Leo. Damn, I met another Aquarius. My sun sign's Aquarius. When you're in an observational state, you're able to see things for how they are and how they matriculate into your life. You're able to sit back and actually look at something and see how it plays out into your life. You're not worried if it's going to stay or if it's going to go. All you're worried about is the lesson. What is this about to teach me? What is this going to open me up to? What is this going to challenge me with? What we have down here, lit in the dead, label the dead, we get so far fucking ahead in being happy that we are something that we don't understand that once you claim something, every challenge based upon what that is, based for understanding, that's what's going to challenge you. Someone that lacks the understanding within where you're going, that aspect of them coming into your life is to challenge you on if you're going to stand on your square or not. I got whole family members. I have compassion, unconditional love in them, love them to death. I'm gonna love them forever because I have unconditional love and compassion for them. But I understand the things that I do now have broken so many generational curses that until they're humble enough to understand it and see it, they'll never ever be able to grab from that abundance or that blessing. When you're breaking the generational curse, when you break the generational curse and that hole that happened in your life at that point in time, when you break that tether, when you break that, you're separating yourself away from to set up for the next. So there's no worrying. I don't have to worry about kids. I ain't got to worry about my nieces and nephews. I ain't got to worry about my nieces and nephews. I ain't got to worry about the kids. Because everything that I'm doing now is setting it up for the kids. I ain't got to worry about my people because everything I'm doing is setting it up for my people. The same way I had to become humble as above to speak this is to go the same way they got to, as below, become humble to hear it. So there's no depression in my life. I'm not waking up every morning. I wake up every single morning like, God damn, I'm in this shithole again. And I'm celebrating being in this shithole because I know there's something for me to learn from. I know there's something that I get to put together, get my scarab on and roll that bowl of shit up and light that shit on fire and put me something and build something on it. This is the aspect you can't live in both spaces. If your mindset's still stuck over here with the humanity, you're going to be stuck in the aspects of humanity, wondering why's, who's, what's, and where's. If your mind frame's in your knowledge, coming into your knowledge, all this shit's abundant over here, up here. Everything up here is living. As this knowledge trickles, matriculates, and rains down, it grows what needs to grow. And it's that same rain that comes down of my energy and my abundance and my knowledge, it rains down, it cultivates and germinates and nurtures what needs to grow, and it floods out what doesn't need to grow. That same fire, that energy, my fire, when that heat hits, from being of that Lucifer archetype, that being of that fire, being of that chaos, it's going to give life. It's going to give the heat and the needed energy to everything that's in it. Everything else is going to burn the fuck down. That's the aspect of what's happening right now. Just in this aspect of you being on a conscious wave, you being on this frequency, changing your thought process is allowing the adequate changes to the environment and the climate down here for you to be able to sustain where you need to sustain that. But the missing link in between that is you have to understand that you got to stand by that. You got to stand by when you wake up in the motherfucking morning and you call yourself a fucking god, you call yourself a fucking goddess, you call yourself a fucking titan, a chaos being, a celestial. You got to live in that shit. There's no sidestepping like, okay, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm gonna be a god. On Tuesday, Wednesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm gonna be Jamal. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I'm gonna let go of them both and then let everything happen the way it happened. When you step into this shit, you live in this shit because you're living. You're no longer existing. Humanity exists and mankind is dead. Humanity exists and mankind is dead. The ones that are stuck with under that fundamental, and this is taking them out the boxes based on colors in the new spectrum. The motherfuckers, the people that are stuck within this aspect of a fundamental archetype based on traditionalism and religion, that's mankind. The ones that are talking about unity in unity and in that burning house, that's humanity. The ones that are talking about burning this shit down, eradicating this shit, because we know what's on that next side, that's on that other level, is always going to be better than where the fuck I came from. That's a god and a goddess. Once you understand, mankind is the thinker. Humanity is the doer. You and your highest self in spirituality, you're the knower. That emptiness, that burden off of your heart, you're the knower. You're able to have compassion for the thoughts and what is done. When you think about an aspect for they do not know what they have done, that's an aspect based on humanity. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Not on a grander scale. They only know their script and their roles. How the hell can you get mad at somebody that their entire historical purpose was based upon destruction? How can you hold anger towards something that's whole purpose was on destruction? So when you think about destruction, I wanted to get back to that part on destruction. Stopping you from rioting, stopping you from protesting, stopping you from tearing shit up by saying, I understand you. I stand with you. I stand with you. I support you. That's destruction of your natural That's destruction of you going to the next level. This space is burning. So when they give you that aspect of saying, I'm going to give you this, we support you. We support Black lives. We support Black Lives Matter. We're gonna give you a season in a section on Netflix. We're gonna give you this, and this. None of that shit matriculates into making you go anywhere further than where the fuck you are at now. None of that shit's gonna give you anything that's gonna help you go to the next level at all. It's based upon intellectual, and we understanding that the intellectual level is the ceiling, their ceiling, and our floor. All they're doing is reinforcing the floor. All they're doing is reinforcing the floor with tethers, allowing your energy to trickle down to them. Take the aspect of music, take the aspect of dance, we're the originals. We created all this shit. So they don't have the ability to pull that energy down to this level. Only you do. So think about it like this. Think about a Mary J. Blige song. Think about Jasmine Sullivan. Think about a Keisha Cole song. Think about all these sad ass fucking songs talking about busting out windows and I cried over you. That's just like a motherfucker singing you a church song talking about Amazing Grace. And as Baba Dick Gregory said, and I stand by that shit, I guarantee it's a brand fucking name. Do you even know what the fuck a wretch is? You calling yourself and putting yourself under the fucking spell so you can be fed upon. Supporting anything based upon humanity, the human aspect. Everything you are naturally saying is fuck them kids, fuck your people, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this, that, and the third. Because you're not putting in true work. My mindset is not within the space of sitting here being like, I just want to make this a better place for my people. I cannot fix something that is inherently flawed. You cannot fix something that's inherently flawed. This realm is inherently flawed. You're supposed to learn the flaws. That's why you don't sell your strengths, you sell your weaknesses. Because you're learning the inherent flaws within humanity. Once you learn that there are once you set in your mind that there are inherent flaws within humanity, once you understand in shadow work there are inherent flaws within you, then you can be open. You can now start to envision because you're removing the burden from your heart. And now you can see the flaws that are in humanity that are reflections of flaws that are within me. The things that are triggering me are connected to the traumas that are within me or something that's happened down the line. Until I am able to come with a humble heart to the situation, I can't work on the situation. Based on an intellectual level, they understand neurons, they understand everything that happens within the human brain, within this mind. They understand the aspect of within this mind. They don't understand this mind. This is the true mind. Your heart is the true mind. That's why they don't understand it. That's why they can create an artificial unit based on knowing this one. Based on knowing the triggers and all the neurons that are based within your mind, the brain, they can create artificial pieces to connect to this. The only thing that they created the computer, and then they got the D-Wave computer, the supercomputers, because that's an aspect of your mind. You can put two and two together. Oh shit. They created a fucking computer so they apparently know how to program it. So what the fuck can they do to my head? But they can't program this part. They can't program the true mind. That's why they're so quick to say it's similar to a pig's brain, a pig's heart. That's why they give you artificial valves in your heart. Because in order for them to control your heart, they must put artificial things in your heart. They must put things based upon humanity in your heart to keep your emotions off balance. This goes into the food. This goes into every aspect that you sit here and you want to fight and be in conflict. Then I remember I was watching a fucking video because I don't watch fucking Love and Hip Hop, but I was on Facebook and I was bored. I was waiting for some videos to load so I can put the video ads for the podcast together. And I remember Trick Daddy was on there. He was on Love and Hip Hop. He was like, my grandparents and my people ate this for like 16 fucking 17 years. I was like, I'm living in a fucking time loop. Because that's the natural aspect of humanity. To accept the flaw and the mistake and become infatuated with the flaw and the mistake. To become infatuated with the flaw. To become infatuated with the flaw is the human thought. The human thought is the ultimate sin towards your soul. The lack of knowledge or sin is the byproduct of ignorance. So if I understand that death is doth, or the doorway to knowledge, or one to true knowledge, the fuck is the liberty that I'm connecting to? And that's what I broke down in the podcast. What are these liberties that I'm connecting to based on morality and traditionalism? Morality and traditionalism are two sides of the same fucking coin. Without transparency, I don't understand how these shits connect. Because now I'm based on my traditional merits. I could never do that. Then you never can, you're not going to be able to interface and go to this next level. Think about all these aspects that people get stuck in when you're doing your studying. If you're fundamentally still bound to something on this lower level, you'll get stuck on. Here's the aspect. Here's something that's thought about. If I sit here and I have a conversation, I'm thinking about Shango and his, I think he has 7 wives. With Shango and the 7 wise aspects are the same, breaking down the aspects. When you talk about Set in the 72 conspirators of Set, which are the 72 chakras that are around the pineal gland, or you think about Jesus and the 12 disciples, Jesus and the 12 cardinal nerves that are around your subconscious that connect to the 72 attributes, that connect to the 72 conspirators within that pineal gland that those each feed to, that go to the 99 attributes of Allah, that those go to, all of that shit synonymous and go together. So if I'm stuck on, if I'm stuck on polygamy, for what it is on a human level, I will not understand the interface of the energy on a higher level. At this point in fucking time, we got to stop bringing shit down here to fucking live. You got to stop bringing shit down here to live. Brittany. You got to stop bringing things down here to live. You want to bring down your abundance and the reason that your wealth and your abundance are not what you expect them to be, because you're not understanding the historical purpose of what abundance is. It's an interface of your natural energy. So if you're not abundant, then how the hell can you connect to abundance? If you're not prosperous, how can you not connect to the prosperity? These are the aspects that we got to start looking at as we're going forward. And then understanding the biggest thing, when every time you heard Bobby Hemming always say this shit's over. Until you can plug that program into your mind that this shit's over, you're gonna keep reaching and grasping at straws and at fucking straws, rather, of these tethers are being fed from. You're gonna keep grabbing for the hooks. You're a fish within the fishbowl. When you understand these ciphers, and when you look at the Kabbalah and the Quilof tree, the tree of life and the tree of death, the tree of death is more in aspect to your nervous system, while the tree of life is everything that you're stuck within these ciphers. So if you're still stuck within the cipher of, I never can let go of this, and I can't let this go, and this can't happen, and this won't happen, and you accept the flaw over your greatness, you accepting flaws over your own true power. The distraction is a side effect of the flaw. Or actually, yeah, the distraction is a side effect, is a flaw of the side effect. You paying attention, we put our minds so deep into aspects based on being and fighting to be something and feel good that we're fighting for it. But you ain't never been no more depressed. You ain't never felt no more oppressed. Because your mindset is still fundamentally stuck within oppression. You ain't doing no fucking real work. Real work gives you a result. Real work, real building requires destruction. Real work gives you a result. Real building requires destruction. There's nothing you can build here because the algorithms for this plane, the aspects that are used to build to keep this plane and sustain this level, are based upon the imbalances in your chaos. When you read the story and you're talking, when you read the story and they talk about the demiurge was blind and created this level based on what it thought it saw above itself, it built things based on what it knew above itself. It was talking about your mind building things based upon emotion. Your mind connecting to things based upon emotion. That was talking about your emotions. So it built when you're building things in your life and you want that abundance, you're looking for that prosperity within your life. If you're building still within the same building blocks in which you came in on, how the hell do you expect it to stand? That's how it's always going to be faulted. That's how it's always going to be. That's how it's always going to be faulty. Your foundation isn't going to stand. You ain't going to be able to build on anything down here at this level because you don't understand the things of this level are only meant to be understood upon. Those are your building blocks. That intellectual level, once you understand humanity, once you get these aspects, once you start programming aspects into your head that you can't be in both worlds, all I want is the knowledge. Those are your fundamental building blocks. Now, when you put your shit, now when you start standing on your square and you building upon your square of your knowing in yourself, your gnosis, that gnosis starts stimulating inside of you. Once you standing on that square, can't nothing shake that shit. You can look at the distraction and see it for what it is. You can look at the movies and see them for what they are. You can look at the news and see it for what it is. And after a while, you're like, why the fuck am I even going to look at this? It has nothing to do with me. This is the aspect, and these are things that get broken down. If your mindset's still stuck within this space, think about the things that are happening inside of your life. We get so far ahead looking for something else to blame our shit on that we don't look at ourselves. We get mad at the arrogance of something outside of us, not understanding that's only a reflection of our arrogance of not looking into ourselves. I wake up every single day in this shithole, and I still do my meditations. I still speak my affirmations. I still tap into my power. Everything else that is meant to destroy me, I know how to, it either doesn't show itself, or it no longer either shows itself, or I've learned how to feed from it, or both. I've learned how to feed from every one of these calamities and traumas. I'm learning how to feed from the trauma because I understand where the trauma came from. I understand that was meant to be put there to keep me from tapping into my true self. I give you something to think about. The surviving R. Kelly thing in this channel just came through. The surviving R. Kelly aspect, one aspect of the surviving R. Kelly was to uproot and show something that is normal. It's not normal. It's an abnormal act. That is what is normal about it is the shaming of said act and not speaking on said act. So the R. Kelly shit hit. Motherfuckers was mad as fuck. Their aspect was to give you a distraction based on you ain't as pure as you think you are. You ain't as pure as you think you are because you're still stuck within the bounds of humanity on unity. That's why Bill Cosby hits y'all so hard. That's why motherfuckers can't take if they bring up Barack Obama and Michelle and all of them aspects. That's why you can't look at that shit. The reason you can't look at that shit because it's connecting to a trauma that has been either happened to you directly or happened down your line in your family. In that table of contents that is your family. That's something we don't talk about. Because you were trained to sit there and be like, but he's a deacon in the church, but he did this, but he does this, but he does this. Giving you a little bit of something for the price of your own fucking energy, for the price of your fucking energy. You got to start looking at these things. They have nothing to do with you. They made their decisions within this level, within this realm. They signed their contract down in this level. I teach you how to devoid that contract. I teach you how to write your new contract. I teach you how to write out your new contract. I teach you how to create your new entity, create within your new entity. Put that LLC behind it. And every facet of light that comes from your entity is a natural embodiment of you. That's how Godical Alchemist came into play. Because I generate and I operate and I destroy. I generate, operate, and destroy within the paradigms of breaking down and understanding the hidden knowledge or my hidden mind or the occult and creating from those ashes and that rubble and that shit that I've destroyed through alchemy creating my multifacets of light. This is one facet of the light. The podcast is a facet of my light. The services, everything from the guided meditations to the counseling to the natal chart analysis to the readings to the shadow work to the rituals, those are other aspects of my light, breaking down from my tree based on me stepping into my shadow and coming out and creating new light. That's the plan. I said it a couple of weeks ago when them motherfuckers were rioting, and I said it in a podcast. I was like, motherfuckers is out here rioting. Why don't they flip them TVs? Here in this state, it's $120 to get to start your LLC. For me, it was like $325, but that insured my website for 2 years for GoDCoAlchemistLLC.com. It's $30 a month for me to host my site based on a code alchemy, my Shopify.com. So that's GoDCoAlchemistLLC.com for my counseling and the services. That's one stream. A code alchemy in my Shopify.com. That's another stream. My podcast is another growing stream. The lectures that I do on YouTube and soon to be doing in-person lectures coming soon, that's another stream. The imprint of other products, that's another stream. A millionaire has 7 streams of income. I created 5. I've already created 4. Working on basically 3 more. So what's the fucking excuse? The fundamental subjective program that is within your mind that keeps you stepping into a space based on not creating. So even when you come to a higher level, you're still not within creation because those same fundamental programs are still within your mind. That's why we can say something like, if you sit here and you just replaced Jesus for Oshun, or you replaced Allah for Shango, you're interfacing with the energy. You're becoming the energy. The same way in the mystery systems, when you study the Kemetic science and you understand those attributes are parts of you, you find which attributes are notated within you. How do you do that? Oh, I got to look within. How they do it? They look within the stars. They study the astrology aspect. They study the numerology aspect. When I went back to do a little test on myself to look at things, and I looked at everything that I was doing, and I was like, yo, all my shit's in line with all of my numbers and everything that's on my charts. Everything I'm doing is with an alignment with everything that's in my charts, written within the stars. So exactly what the fuck do I have to worry about? Why does a protest matter to me? And this is the coding part of it. That this is the standing on your square part of it. What does a protest have to do with me? What does the riot have to do with me? What does the march have to do with me? If I'm not putting in the work, how the hell can I be an example for the kids? If I'm not putting in my work, how can I be an example for some of the fucking adults? That's the aspect of tapping into your true self that we have to get into. That's the unlocking that you have to get into. There's many paths to the light, but there are methodologies within those paths that all are on synonymous based upon your intent. Your different path of light is based on your intention, based on your purpose. But there's methodologies. There's methodologies to go that stream within every path of light. So if you haven't got into the aspect of understanding the discipline that is needed to step into your light, how the hell can you move forward how can you move forward and build on anything? Because you're still within that pressure plate of existence and not standing on your square of living. You still looking at motherfuckers. People are still my baby died in the street. And I'm speaking this from the motherfucking part. I've lost 37 family members since I was the age of fucking 13. I've lost 37 family members since I was the age of 13. The first transition that I witnessed with my own divine eyes was my cousin when he was 15 and I was 13. I remember for the first couple of months sitting there and I was trying to explain that I felt his life leave out of his body. I watched it. I felt his life leave out of his body, and them trying to say you need to take him to counseling because what he's making up these imprints inside of his mind to cope is a coping mechanism. No, motherfucker, wasn't a coping mechanism. I knew what the fuck I felt and I knew what the fuck I saw. But within that space, at that moment, I did not have the knowledge to explain it. But I still carried on the lesson from that time. What lesson are you carrying on from these things? Just like everybody was sitting there when Nip died. And he said the marathon continues. And his mother came up there and told y'all he ain't gone. That motherfucker living. Her whole fucking speech. What aspects are you taking from what was taught at this level? And that's what you tap in to get into that ether. By saying ancestors is setting your mind up on a generic base that makes you feel good every time you say it. My ancestors looking out for me is the same way you saying Jesus looking out for you. What ancestor? My grandmother, my cousin, my brother, my twin brother that I ate in the womb, my father, my aunts, my uncles. Those are direct lines to my linkage to the spirit realm. I know their spirit names. I know their names within the spirit. I know what attributes of what deity or what principle on this level or what God or what's actually a deity, which is actually a principle, was actually a demon or Damien or intelligence that they're interfaced with and what they came down here to do. And I know what they're doing up there. That's how I interface with my energy. Bobby Hemmett said that shit the best. They can kill 1 million of us, but they're not really killing us. They're setting you free. So what are you worried about? When you get upset, when I hear someone say they weren't done here yet, what I hear is, based on observation, is I'm not doing my work. I'm putting in my work. So I pay homage to my ancestors naturally because I'm putting in my work. They lived through me. Pops, grandmother, aunt, my aunt that just passed last year, they all lived through me. Even their numbers, Pop in 03, grandmother in 05, one of my aunts in 2009. My grandmother actually died at the cusp. It was actually 2006. So that's 369. How does that name? That's a triad number within the numerology. Damn. If they didn't transition, I can't tap into that energy and that information because it would still be sustained based on the intellectual level. The transition, the death shows you that the only way to truly tap into your energy is to die. You have to die first to get to this level. That's what you're being shown over and over and over again. Every transition, every death that you see is a moment for you to celebrate that you got more energy that you can tap into. But if your emotions are imbalanced, you thinking about they keep killing us and they keep doing all this based upon that fear narrative, that energy does not come back down to you. It goes over to the other side. What has your attention? Your intention is to continue doing your work and continue to rise. Rise, black man, rise. Rise, black woman, rise. But if your attention is still over there on something else, guess where your energy going to go to? It's going to go right through you and over to them and sustain this level. So there's two sides to it. There's two sides to it. At this level, this side right here, this level right here, where everything's going down, this shit is going back into its de-evolutionary, into a single mitote. It's going back into a single state. It is going to be recreated into what it originally was. Remember, if you took basic study of saying single-celled organisms, then you understand why the LGBTQIZ, XYZ, the alphabet community exists. If you understood single-cell organisms, they only have one purpose. Their purpose, they can't reproduce because they don't have any light. So what the fuck you think this life? What do you think that would represent? Why do you think they put that on a pedestal? Why do you think they put that distraction in your face? Why do you think they fund that and put that with every one of their agendas? Because they're going back to this one world, one mind aspect. They're shutting you down for your multi-facets of understanding the larger spectrum of light that you are. So when they say things like one world government, when they say things like new world order, you are your own one world government. Based on the connection, based on the consciousness, is the revolution that allows these one world governments to come together and create another nexus point. The new world order is going to be the chaos and destruction of this order. So while you focused on the new world order and they doing all these things, they want us to take all these vaccinations and shit. I ain't worried about not one fucking vaccination. Someone made a post in a group that I'm in on Facebook and were like, Melinda Trump said something, she seconded it. I was like, all I said was, first off, she a man. My observation, bitch, a man. Because there's no possible way in hell that even if they were in, this is how you start understanding mankind versus humankind and how they fucking separated. Mankind, the side effect, they're only concerned with themselves. Humankind is within the confines of humanity, within the unity, within this space to learn from. And then you have Godhood, the higher self, that has the compassion, that is the knower and the understander of mankind, and unconditional, and the understander of humanity. The knower is the balance. Moving within your space without it. When you move out of balance, think about if you woke up tomorrow, you woke up on a Monday and you were late for work. Late from getting to the gym, late for work, late for doing something. Your entire day is now catching up. The next day you late doing the same damn thing. The next day you late doing the same damn thing. From an observational standpoint, I sit there as your boss at work and I'm like, why are you late every day? And every day you come with a different excuse, or you have the same mundane excuse. And then after about a week or 2 weeks of that, I gotta let your ass go. Man, yeah, let me go, man. I told you my car was fucked up. I told you my car was messing up, and I told you my baby mother was tripping, and I told you my baby daddy went and watched the kids, and I told you this, that, and the third. Okay. From an observational standpoint, when I asked you on your application process, do you have reliable transportation? When I asked you in your application, do you have reliable transportation? Do you have children? Do you have reliable daycare? Do you have all of these aspects that are needed for you to have this job? You said yes. You entered 2 agreements. The first agreement that you entered, this is how you start breaking down the contract. The first agreement that you entered was the one that when you came down based upon humanity, that Sanskrit that breaks down humanity, that you're gonna come down here with a body, you're gonna learn a bunch of lessons, you're gonna do this, and this, and then you're gonna transfer. That was your agreement based on humanity. When you took your agreement, algorithms came down here. But you also signed another agreement. Your other agreement was if you're not, it's basically the opposite of this. If you're not doing this, then you're gonna come back here. That's the 2 contracts. The life contract and the death contract. When you came down here under your death contract. The death contract that you have in your human body, going through the lessons, going through purgatory, going through the pains, going through the struggle, going through the traumas. Your life contract is learning from all of those aspects. Because as you learn from these aspects, you start understanding that there's going to be a side effect of you learning from these aspects. You learning based on what true love, what love is, you rise. So the side effect is the fall, or the side effects, or the tamahus. They are parented by these. The thought form still needs to survive based upon your attention within your humanity. Mankind needs you to stay here in your human self so it can thrive, because it's not willing to accept that it's not human. It's not willing to accept the facets that can make it human. It's based on de-evolutionized behavior and fundamentals. So on this end, you're battling for humanity. They don't know what the fuck humanity is until you tell them. Think about everything when the Moors were there, man. We taught them how to wash their ass, and don't you think you're doing the same exact fucking shit still right now? That's what the protests and the riots about. You're doing the same fucking shit. They have accepted what the fuck they are on their script. Motherfuckers in your life have accepted what they are based on their script, based on what they're getting from that moment in time. They've accepted it. Have you? Have you accepted it? If you haven't accepted it, of course, they're going to continue doing what they're doing because they know you haven't accepted it. You haven't accepted it. You have not accepted it to move on. So they don't have to accept it for you to move on. They expect you not to accept it so you don't move on. So you're accepting or you're expecting shit to fucking change. And then you expecting shit to shift or evolve when you ain't elevating. You're not taking the first step forward. You're not taking the necessary steps. That's why you get frustrated. That's why you get so mad. That's why you get so angry, because you're feeling like, I didn't learn from this. What the fuck? I've done everything that I needed to do. What's next? It's time to move the fuck on. Once you've mastered it, teach it and move on. That's what I do. I only teach and give service based on what I've already learned. Because as I go higher up into my higher self, it gives me more room between this space of teaching and learning. So now I can teach this right here, and I'm at this level over here learning. Then it's time when the motherfuckers rise up to this level up here, I can teach more shit. And now they're at the same level. This is that building based on the intellectual. This is the intelligence. This is the revolution. I like talking about death and sex. Why? Because my fundamental ancestors, that's all they talked about was sex and death. Sex or the sacred energy exchange in order to the ultimate climax or the ultimate transition into higher knowledge or to higher information or to higher light. How to use alchemy. That's what my ancestors taught. That's what my ancestors did as they came to sleep. Because how many of our fucking grandmothers and grandfathers had 15, 16 motherfucking kids? How many of your fathers and mothers were Rolling Stones? They're still stuck within the subject because they haven't learned anything else yet. They don't have, they're not learning anything new. They were subjected into a thought form based on this realm, based on survival. So if my mind's worried about survival, how can I truly learn? How can I truly celebrate if I'm always stuck on survival? How can I truly elevate if I'm always stuck within fear? These aspects are the things that we got to tap in. These are aspects of tapping into understanding your bodies of light. Anything less than that, anything lower than that is not you. It's below you. The shit don't work. The shit's below you. The shit's trash. The shit's fucking garbage. As I said before, I don't have a depressed day in my life ever as stepping into my highest of day, and a depressed day in my fucking life. Because I know none of this shit. I know I can stand by this shit as a fucking illusion. I can create examples of how it's an illusion based on my changes in my elevation, how it becomes an illusion. There's a McDonald's. I say this. There's a McDonald's up the street from my fucking house. I know exactly where it's at. I know it's open 24 hours. I know exactly where it's at. It's across the street from a gas station that they just built. McDonald's still there. I don't partake in McDonald's anymore. So that's an illusion to me when I see a McDonald's commercial. Yeah, I can still get I can look at something, and this is one of the biggest things. We're gonna get this is the next part. I can look at something on TV and see it for what it is, and understanding that how detrimental it is, even though I can look at, since I have an understanding of how detrimental it is, I can look at it and go unscathed and indulge. This is what comes into indulgence. Just like at an aspect based on higher thought and higher level, and this is how it broke down in the spiritual aspect, to making you let go of shit. Just like Bill Cosby, A Different World, The Cosby Show, A Different World, all the little spinoffs that he did, Rainhead and the Junkyard Gang and all that shit. When it came time to go to the next level, he could not go because he was still within a contract. So it was intellect. He had everybody going to school, and I'm never saying don't go to school. Train yourself to be down here in this world. Understand where the fuck you at. But all these aspects of these things, and I was like, yo, based on me stepping out of humanity, I can observe and see what they're doing. But if I was still based within humanity, based on the emotional content, all I would remember is the nostalgia. I could see how I couldn't see how damaging that was to me going to the next level. I couldn't understand it and take it for what it was. What I can take from Bill Cosby, what it showed on the lower level was telling you to train yourself to make it in this space. It became oversaturated. But his demise, that fall, then putting that false light on him, was based upon the contract that he subserved himself to. As long as he was feeding as long as he was feeding from a certain level, he was abundant. He was getting everything he wanted. He was prosperous. He was abundant. He was wealthy. But the moment he started stepping outside of that contract and going to the other side, actually awakening in some aspect, even if it was even if it was in an unconscious intent, that's when they started tearing him down. He became a monster. That's the aspect of that's the aspect of what we're going through. The things that made us human are now going to be the villain to us becoming gods, us becoming gods, us becoming that chaos and that chaos energy. The things that we're looking into now in depth, when I open up a book and I'm reading about sex, I look at sex at a whole nother fucking level, because my mind and my spirit are in tune to download from the higher level, so I can indulge in the energy that what sex is. I can indulge in the energy of what the chaos is, for seeing it for what it is. That's the indulging. That's when Bobby was talking about, you got to indulge. You got to indulge based on being a god and not being a human. Because when you indulge being a human, you're doing it based on emotion. You eat based on emotions. You drink based on emotions. You smoke based on emotions. You pop pills. You chew it on fucking doing psychedelics on fucking, all based upon emotion. That's why you keep doing it. That's why you get addicted to it. That's why you get stuck in it, because it helps you escape from something you ain't willing to understand and face. I remember when I first started studying the archetypes for my spirit name, when I became Papa Lucy. Aspects of Papa Lucy are based upon, just like Lucifer Samdi. Lucifer Samdi was an aspect of Baron Samdi archetype, and Papa Lucy was based upon the Lucifer aspect, the Dionysus aspect, the Set aspect, the Pan aspects, and the Papa aspect was based on the Voodoo and Voodoo, the Santeria, the Congo rites, studying in Haiti, the New Orleans. So when I put together these archetypes of energy, I had an understanding that I'm not serving, I'm becoming. And this is an aspect when I indulge. So as I indulge in my full embracing my energy, that means nothing can be said or used against me that I cannot put into my favor, because I have a higher understanding of it. They say Lucifer and Baron Samdi and Papa Legba, they tricksters. Yeah. On the lower level and mundane, a trickster would be manipulating based on terms of serving in any purpose for a negative aspect. Since I'm from the higher level, I'm in the higher of the positive, what serves me, I use those negative attributes to my purpose of positivity, because they serve me in moving forward. This is how you start interfacing with the energy. This is how you start becoming balanced. A lot of people don't become balanced because you want to be this side or that side. Nigga, you need both. You need both. You need both sides. Because if I'm not connected to both sides, then I allow my ego to still live. I allow my ego to create, and I've been saying this for a good minute. I allow my ego to create a lens based on either the light or the dark. So if I have this concave lens that's bent like this, and everything, if the lens isn't straight, whatever angle a lens is at, how light goes through it, everything that's not fitting that can filter through this lens based upon my ego of the darkness, anything that's based upon the darkness, anything that can shed new light won't come through this lens. If I'm stuck within the light all the time, and this is the aspect when you think about the serving, if I'm serving the light, That feels good. If I'm serving the light, sustaining the light, and my ego won't allow anything upon darkness. This is where spookism came from. This is the aspect of spookism, Willie Lynch letters, anything being dark, anything being evil, anything being devious, calling the white man the devil. Why the fuck are you calling the white man you? They don't even have they do not have the power source to even do what the devil does. When you break it down and understand what the devil does based upon energy. So how the fuck can they be the devil? Stop giving them your fucking power. Your baby mother ain't got no fucking power outside of the power that you gave them based on the content that y'all did when y'all came together and made that child. That's the only power source that they have. Unless you're willing to go to the ends of the earth to take your power back, then you basically just say, fuck them kids. Corey Holcomb said that shit the fucking best. I do not condone it, but I agree with the context that he was saying. He was like, if my baby mother ain't shit, she ain't doing shit, she always trying to cause me strife, trying to cause me problems, then fuck her, I will make another one. That was pure God shit. That was pure spiritual God energy came through on that. Because there's nothing that is going to stop me from standing on my square, my truth, my truth, everything that I stand by based on the knowledge that I have and in growing outside of learning anything that's going to keep me stagnant. I'd be damned if it has me stay in the same fucking space. I'd be damned. That's the mindset that you got to have. And you do that shit at all fucking costs. You got to get out of the aspect of being scared of fucking death. Because death is not what the fuck they told you it was. You got to get out of this aspect of being black because black is not what the fuck they told you it was. Obviously, when you read the law dictionary and it gives you the definition of black being everything that white is, and the definition of white, everything that's white is black and everything black is white. So they two aspects of the same piece anyway, but that's another piece. So you got to get out of these aspects and accepting things based on the guise of, you got to get out of the aspect of accepting things, accepting these liberties based on what you are that will stifle your liberation into what you are to become and what you can truly create. You have to take yourself out of the aspects based on what you think, what you are based upon identity and the liberties that come with your identity that you fight for, because that is going to stifle you based on survival being just whatever you're looking at. Your survival at this point is detrimental on based on these liberties that will keep you away from your liberation. That contract has expired. Every time you march, every time you cry, every time you give emotion, every time you show imbalance, every time you show that you feel like you made a mistake, every time that you feel disheartened, every time you let a burden on your heart, you reinstate your contract. And anybody that's watched sports, every time you renew your contract and you're getting older, your shit gets less and less and less based on they can shuffle in new energy. Oh, we got a new way to feed now. We don't need you. That's the limbo. They sat you down in your ass for damn near 2 fucking months. Some people longer, some people still going through fucking quarantine. They shut you down for fucking 6 fucking, damn near half a fucking year, kept you in fucking strife and stifled, and gave you $1,200 a fucking week, $1,200 a fucking month. Motherfuckers got employment, got $600 a week plus the $1,200 stimulus packages. So they told you exactly what the fuck you were worth. Add insult to injury. 1 second. Ugh. Okay, we back. You know, we always take a bathroom break around this time. Based upon that algorithm, they showed you your worth. So someone can ask the question, how can they do that? How can somebody that screams for humanity do something like that to the human race? Because the motherfuckers ain't human, they mankind. And when you study the archons are counterfeit or lower level entities or deities that were created or parented by the original seed. You're of the original seed. So you parented and created the confines and the conduits and the totems for these things to exist in. Take it like this. We'll sit here and say this shit every fucking day. They stole our shit. Say that shit every fucking day. They stole our shit. They stole our shit. They stole our shit. They stole your shit based on the lower intellectual level of it. So they stole your shit and then they blew the levees up for Hurricane Katrina. They blew the levees and made the sacrifice to bear insomnia. That's why whenever you looked at all the doors and had the X on them, the dead bodies, those X's, those are the crossroads. They did a sigil for Somni on those doors. They sacrificed the Baron Somni. The same shit that you'll sit here and do in order for to be in service to one aspect or the other. The reason they can do what they do outside of the confines of the morality and the traditionalism based upon humanity is because they're not humans. They're below humanity. They're below humanity. So when you're looking at this layer above you for you to come through and grow through and learn through, you got to go through the aspects of mankind, the mannerisms, mankind being made as man to come into your human self. Once you start coming into this level of your humanity, you understand that that shit don't exist anymore. So now you're above humanity. So this gives you a thought, what the fuck is in charge? It's always been a question that's always on my mind. What the fuck is in charge? If the mind is all and the universe is mental, and the only creator of new light must be from the first generation, then damn, I might be in charge. Sound like the white girl I fucking hustling the floor. I'm in charge. That was another aspect that just came through when I was thinking about that. Like, in Hustling the Flow, when he was telling her that had to have the black man tell the white girl to say that shit, say I'm in charge. That's the aspect of what you're telling them every time. You tell them they're in charge so they can pimp your ass. You tell them you're in charge so they can pimp your ass. So you ain't got to deal with it. Because in reality, everything that's been sustained within this level, your electric, your house, your bill, all your house, your job, and all that shit, even if it has black owned, it's still financed by the bank or whatever it may be. You've been here so fucking long that's why you act childish when you get it. That's why you act childish when you get the money. That's why you act childish when you get the fame and you get the car. Because you stuck in humanity. You're like, yeah, that's all I wanted. And then you come back and repeat this shit all over again. Come back here with baby brain you want to. I'm not feeling sorry for you because I ain't coming back here with baby brain. And I'm not going to allow anything at any point in time stop me from having baby brain. I ain't coming back. So anything around me got to everything around me is on that frequency and on that level. Whether it's an initiate, whether it's coming into the level of energy or they're in this level of energy, they learn that. That's the aspect of you. There's certain, when you walk into a space and your energy shifts the entire climate. That's how powerful you are. Right now, at this level, at a base level of awareness and consciousness, when you come into your first level of awareness, that's simply a fraction of your power and energy. When you start cultivating it, when you start adding your disciplines to it, when you start doing your ritual work, when you start writing your spells, start doing your rituals and add it to your own rituals, you start amplifying your own power. As you start amplifying your own power, your power is based upon chaos. So if I'm working in my mind, my new power, work with my new power, visualizations, disciplines within my mind, taking that energy, getting that download from the higher self, my higher self, and the connections that are connected to my higher self. If that shit come down here, in this hand, I give you a gift. In this hand, I give you a gift. I give you a skull. I give you some skill. In this hand, in that same, I got a hold of it with both fucking hands. So on this part of it, you're gonna get everything you want and you desire. But it's gonna come at the cost of your humanity. It's gonna come at the cost of your ego. What are you willing to give it for your all? You'll give your blood, sweat, and tears for a certification to get some more money. But just to simply go into a bookstore and grab a book on chaos theory to stimulate what's already natural within inside you to awaken it, you'll second guess it. Because you're afraid if you have that book sitting in your fucking house and your mom come over, if she come over with Pastor James, you got to go hide your books. Nah. Let the dead lay with the dead. Let mankind be in conflict. Let humanity burn away. That ain't you no more. Let what's no longer you come to the surface so you can deal with it. Let what's no longer you come to the surface and deal with it. I teach classes. You sitting here within this space, we having this conversation, we going back and forth, we building this build. This is the build. After the build, the question is, are to destroy. The answers are the new build. This is the cause. Your questions are the effect. And the answers are the new causes. That's understanding cause And every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. The reason that we can never seem to go anywhere is because we're acting off of the original effect without understanding the original cause. The original cause was human thought. The effect was ignorance, the byproduct being sin. Ignorance is bliss. Lack of knowledge is sin. So then it streamed a new set of effects based upon ignorance, lack of knowledge. So if I continue with that this aspect as my effect, and not understanding this original cause was to learn and acquire knowledge, then what do you think happens as it goes down the line? It becomes more and more ignorant. Ignorance is bliss, but ignorance also within ignorance, there's creation. Ignorance is bliss, but within the bliss is also creation. Because as long as there's ignorance or a lack of knowledge, that means there is a point in time, or a point within that context of time, that alignment, that you can acquire knowledge. The same way that you humbly went into a blissful ignorance is the same way that you can humbly step your ass into the knowledge. This is the ultimate one-on-one. If anybody remembers NBA Jam, this is like, it's not 2-on-2. It's ultimate one-on-one. But it's 2-on-2. In order to defeat your ego, you must learn your ego. So you're playing 2-on-2. You're playing against your ego and your humanity. Your handicap. And this is broken down in, I forgot the name of that Gnostic. I'm gonna look up that book, right? What the hell my phone at? I'm gonna look up the book now. As I go into, if you have not downloaded Scribe is like the ultimate PDF app. The ultimate PDF app. Appreciate that donation for the support. Appreciate that. Scribe is the ultimate PDF app. If you're looking for PDFs, if you're looking for books that they're no longer in existence anymore, like they aren't doing any prints anymore, Scribe for $8.99. You can type in almost any PDF for your study. Any PDF for study, and it pulls up everything from psychiatria, cyclomancy, dark psychology. These are books that you need to have in your arsenal. As I go to the official site, as I go right here, pull it up. As that's pulling up. Oh shit, I forgot. I got good internet. Ooh. I indulge in the good internet. And I go here. Wait, nigga, what? I already have it. Where the fuck is the login? Yeah. And you can get that shit on Kindle Fire. But yes, any book on Gnosticism. That aspect breaks down every aspect that you need and understand that you can't live in both of these spaces anymore. A lot of us are A lot of us are living in a space or living in a mindset where we're stuck in between both spaces. And we're trying to, well, I have a little bit of this and I'm going to take a little bit of that. No, it's all or nothing. I learn from my human aspects of humanity in order for me to grow in my spirituality. As you do this and you go up this and you go up through this path, as you go through the Sifras on your tree of life, you reach Doth. In between Jupiter and Jupiter's on this end, and I'm gonna say Saturn's on this end, the rings, the Lord of the Rings. Then it also breaks down in the allegory of Satan in Revelations when the angel is holding the chain of Lucifer and he's trapped within the rings, he's trapped within Saturn, thus Saturn being Satan or Set. You're stuck within these spaces, you're stuck within these rings under the weight of Jupiter or under the weight of war. That war with yourself or that conflict with yourself has you locked in your rings. Until you submit to under breaking free from these rings, you must accept the death of that war of your old self to step through that gateway with this Doth into the actual tree of knowledge. So getting stuck on the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic side of your tree, the tree of life, and not coming into the Quilloth, that's where you get stuck at. I want to keep humanity. No. Because every aspect that's on this tree of life, let's take these two trees like this. For Eve, there's Lilith. For Jesus, there's the devil. That's why it says, Satan, get behind me. That's the light. When you become something, you embrace it. So I understand my darkness, so I am now the light. And then that's where you build and that's how you grow. Because until you start taking that aspect, all you're going to be doing is going back and forth on mundane ideologies based on intellect, trying to prove how smart you are. And then you get stuck. Since you're stuck within that space, you go to people that are regurgitating things to you. And that's good for your beginning levels. If you're coming in, you're an initiate. But after a certain point of time, you're going to be you're going to be the equivalent to the woman to Sister Pretty that's been going to fucking church for 36 years, paying her tithes on time. They put over $4.5 million into her fucking church. And all she got is an old Kia Sophia. And she's still paying rent in her Section 8 home. Because a little bit of something's better than nothing. I want it all. In order for me to have it all, I must create it. Because I will not put myself in the sustainability of somebody being able to feed me and destroy me. So when you look at the aspects of the destructive properties of what it is at this level, their historical purpose is to destroy shit. War, conflict, because they're stuck within conflict. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We created the beginning, we created the middle, and we created the many ends. They're stuck within the conflict of not even the beginning. So when that boils all the way down and you look closer to you, there's people in your life, the reason that they cannot get on to what you're getting on is because they don't understand the causes of they don't even understand the causes of how they got there. So they can't even begin to center and understand your climax. The reasoning behind certain individuals that are in your life and the reason they keep doing what the fuck they doing is because they can't even understand their own causes and their own effects. They can't even understand their own causes and effects. They don't even understand the original cause of their effects. They're not willing to face the original causes that set the effects, that set new causes, that set new effects. But you are. And if you aren't, just coming into this information lets you know that you are. So in advance, hats off. To anybody else, they're going to get lost within the light anyway. Let it do what it's supposed to do. Everything falling the way it need to fall. Everything is falling into falling into position as it needs to fall into. The only thing that ain't falling in position is you. As I sit here and play on my labradite, Spirit got me really, really, really live right now. And it doesn't help that I have Moldavite right here. Learning how to interface with your energy. Interface it. But while we're cycling through, this is that question and answer period. We're going to start the question and answer period a little earlier. We're going to build from there. And then we'll connect those questions. Remember that this was the build. The questions are the destroy. And the new answers are the new builds. That makes sense. Gotta make sense because it's out of the ordinary. But yeah, so as y'all putting the question together, I'm gonna give a breakdown of what we went into during the podcast this week. Liberty versus death. Liberty, give me liberty, I'll choose death. I'm gonna choose knowledge over liberty every day, because if I understand that death is the aspect of coming into knowledge, then what are liberties that we hold on to? The liberty is the ignorance of the guise of not transitioning. When you understand it in this aspect, you start seeing like, that's why they keep recreating. Look at TV. They went from making Full House to Fuller House. They just brought back Reno 911. All they are able to do is use the light that they already have and use that to create or make the illusion of new light. You go through a dark phase. I know this for a fucking fact. I went through a dark fucking period in my life. Super dark. My infrastructure had fell apart. In order for you to actually embrace new life, your old life gotta die. I went through a process of when I was sitting there with my new life, when I was sitting there and I was loving my life at that point in time. I got my job. I was traveling. I was on the road. I was opening up stores. Every one of my jobs, every restaurants I was working in, I was opening up new stores. So it was like my paycheck would be basically $600 a week, $500 for expenses, $300 for expenses a week, $600 a week in pay. No, probably $800 in pay. And then we got a $2,000 sign-on bonus for every store that we open. So I'm on the road 6 months out the year. But when I came back to reality, when I came back to the store, my home front, or what was perceived as my home store, they had to find room to fit me in because, in 6 months, a lot of business go by and a lot of people can get hired to take your place. So I was constantly in the conflict going back and forth like, damn, man, every time I leave, I got to come back. I got to fight for hours when I should get the hours. What gave me the thought process that I could get the hours, man? I'm out here on the road doing this over here. So when I come back here, I should automatically get what the fuck I want. With that thought in my mind, I was in a relationship at the time. My relationship was going good. My relationship was on rocks because the perceived aspect. I was always on the road. So the attention that they were getting was based upon me not being there, but I was there in a higher aspect. So that fell apart. I remember like I lost my job. No, I lost that. I ended up losing my car for sacrificing for others. I lost my place, sacrificing for others. I'm staying back and forth in hotels. Then I lose my job. So I lost the ability to be able to pay for the hotel. So then I lost the hotel until unemployment kicked in. And then so I'm basically going week by week. Like one day I broke it down fundamentally in my head to survive. The days that I worked were the days that I would get a room. And the days that I didn't work, I wouldn't get a room. That way I could save money. But I was stuck within this circle. Then I lost my job. Then I'm basically doing this on and off again until I had to come into a moment of acceptance of what the fuck was going on. I had to accept what everything was falling apart. I had to humble myself to the point. At this point, I was in between actually awakening. I didn't understand at that point in time, but my infrastructure of my old self, what I identify with, this is one of my first ego deaths. The biggest ego death for me was having to break into a movie theater that was like closed down at the time in order to have a place to stay. Or to walk around all day, walk around all fucking night until it was after 1, 2 o'clock where shit would be closed around where I was staying at in order to actually sit down where no one would drive by or be over there where I was at. Having to wake up to the daylight. So having to wake up to the daylight and start moving around again to find another spot because these places were operating businesses. So my infrastructure was going away and I became more and more humble. Certain spectrums of light came out and touched on, but other spectrums of light stayed dark. It wasn't until I was actually in that moment of humility that everything started rebuilding itself around me. My life started rebuilding itself. That's the aspect of what's going on. I had to go through that chaos moment, that chaos in order to come into my higher self. One aspect of my higher self, allowing my ego to die. I let my ego die some, and then I got another job, and I was working, had my place, I had my hotels. I rekindled the relationship with my mother because that was the great mother aspect that I had to rekindle my relationship with. All of these things that I was doing within my growth until I got to another point where my ego had to die again. When you become truly dependent, when you become self-sufficient, independence is based upon the fundamental factor of something has to be dependent. So me being dependent, and then me and my cousin came together like, yo, we don't get this spot over here. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do what I remember. I heard something like I always think about what Mexicans do and what Hispanics do when people come over. I like, yo, we gonna get this spot. I got the credit, you got the money. I got money, you got money, but you ain't got credit. I'm gonna get the spot. We're gonna rock this for about 6-7 months, and then we're gonna rock this for the first lease, and then we're gonna grow out from there. That didn't happen because under his contract, he had a different agreement and letting other things in that were against the contract. So that's why that broke apart. That was based upon independence. I needed him to be dependent. He needed me to be dependent upon him when I was never dependent upon him. So the contract didn't work because the independence was off secured. The same thing with helping my mother and doing stuff for my family. It was based upon my independence was based upon the fundamentals of their dependence. When I became self-sufficient or going into the higher aspects of myself, that aspect of me becoming independent, me becoming self-sufficient, was understanding the fundamentals of dependence was based upon the knowledge that they had within that space. Until they acquire new knowledge or they're given another outlook on life, they can't move forward. That's where the gap comes from. So if there was no gap, then I couldn't step forward. If there was no gap, then they would not be able to see what the fuck they needed to do and make acceptance. Because if I was not accepting where they were, they can accept where I was going. Therefore, they would expect me to stay there, accepting them. So this aspect on unity on this level with family type aspect, you get locked within, but my mother went to this, my mother did this, my pops did this, and they did this. They're stuck under that banner of hope. They didn't get their dreams out, so they hope that you get your dreams out based on following the same paradigm, the same program. That's insane. Remember, insanity is the aspect of following the same shit over and over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the aspect. This leads to this hits through everything. This is understanding everything's within everything. This hits every key point on that fucking level. So if I'm in this space and my mindset is within the fundamentals of struggle, oppression, trauma, struggle, depression, oppression, trauma, then no matter what light comes through that, it's all going to come through these aspects. So how do you think that you feed if it's all coming through these same aspects? How can you grow if it's coming through trauma? How can you become self-sufficient if it's coming through trauma? It's coming through oppression. How can you have liberation if it's coming through oppression, if it's coming through the depression and the traumas? How can you have anything of true that's of you, your true self, your true balance, the true love of yourself, if it's coming through the same fucking shit that they came through for your family, the people before you, the people that you call blood? You're stepping out of the dark ages. You're sacrificing your blood for your true light. When you read the Serpent Grail, the book about the book when they break down the Holy Grail being the pineal gland, and they talk about both pineal glands. For us, for the masculine aspect, we have the pineal gland that is up here, and then we'll be in the same trigger. And in the female or the feminine aspect, they have the two pineal glands because it's two portal points, because they are the activate. This is the thinker, the think and the knower. That's how they go through feeling illogical. That's when you look at the aspects based on the feminine aspects of the mind. You see how all those things start to line up, and being irrational and being illogical and being creative and being the wisdom and being the nurturer and being those aspects. And then you understand on the aspects of knowledge in the masculine archetype of the energy, you understand how the knowledge sparks wisdom. But the knowledge sparks new wisdom, but the wisdom nurtures new knowledge. You start understanding how the logic and reason are to stimulate creation in order to bring abundance, this is how you start understanding these algorithms and just being. 7, 8 years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, this layout that's behind me, they got flowers and shit on it. You wouldn't have seen that nowhere near something that I would have bought, because I was stifled in a certain environment and mindset. I would have looked at the skull, like, yo, the skull, man, fucking cool, but all them flowers and the butterflies shit I ain't fucking with. Now that I'm more in balance, I understand that I got all my skill around me. This whole tapestry is telling me growth, skill, metamorphosis. That's what my whole tapestry is behind me showing me. If this is your first time looking at this lecture, as opposed to beginning lectures, I had this other tapestry that I'm sitting on. I'm using as my cushion. It's it's the flower. It's the geometrical. It's the geometric that opened in the lotus flower. Because I was blooming. I bloomed, and this is my metamorphosis. Everything that you do is symbolism of if you're growing or if you're sustaining. If you're independent or you're becoming self-sufficient. If you're living in your spirituality or you're just wearing it as a badge of honor. If you wear it as a badge of honor, you're only going to wear things that fit within the fundamentals of keeping you safe. I wear shit and do shit on purpose that just keeps me out of safety because I already know that I'm divinely protected based on my energy coming from my higher source of positivity. My intention is to grow. In order for me to grow, I got to move out of being comfortable. I got to move out of being safe. I got to move out of being in that space. And when you start understanding that aspect of moving out of that space, when you start understanding that, you understand what your environment meant to learn from. For some of us, we came from environments where they weren't safe, or we knew people that were in environments that were not safe. They were not savory at all. But you still went there because something in that environment resonated with you based upon the image. It's always based upon the images. Repetition, trauma, symbols. Symbols or images, repetition, and trauma. Until you embrace the symbol, you cannot break the repetition and you cannot break down the trauma. These are the alchemical tethers of those bonds that keep you locked within a certain space within your mind. Until you're willing to step out of that space, then you can't go anywhere forward. You'll be sitting there mad at the world, not wanting to do what the fuck you want to do, thinking you'll only be doing what you can and not what you want. Every single day, I do exactly what the fuck I want. I took that mindset. I want to do what I want. Doing what you want requires more discipline than doing what you can. So when I put that thought process into my mind and going forward of doing what I want, that naturally took me out of the aspect of struggle and oppression, amongst other things that I've done and I teach and I give the sessions on. I did those things to set my new algorithm, and now I'm doing exactly what I want as I want to. And I'm learning every fucking step. I'm humble to the learning. I'm humble to how I gauge myself based on the learning and what I speak. So every time that I speak, I become a stronger speaker. Every time that I put together podcasts, put together content, I become better and better and better because I'm open to the discomfort of staying the same. I don't want to put out the same thing. That's not the whole point. When you look at the history, when you look at all the history, everything's synonymous. And I always use the metaphysical breakdown. When you look at our great historians, Ben Joseph, John Henry Clark, and the great fucking scholars that historicalized it, and you look at Dr. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, Shabazz, Brother Panic, and the gang of other teachers, and then you look at the ones that they parented that energy, that's the energy and the lineage that I come from. So I never have to worry about, and this is another aspect that comes to success. I never have to worry about, will my next be better than my last? Because I'm already coming from a space that I'm going deeper into the topics that came before, and then I'm getting that open channel or the download of that information to make sure that every time that I come, I'm coming in my truth. I'm coming with what is the truth. I'm able to explain it. I'm able to give the bibliography. I'm able to stand by everything that I said, give you the bibliography. If I watched another lecture, I give you the link to the other lecture. If I read it from a book, this is where I got it from. If I got it from, most of my shit's from a grouping of information. But if I remember certain key aspects as I'm speaking, certain points, you hear me yell out a book. You'll hear me yell out a book, because that's the aspect, that's the spirit giving me, give them this book, because that's where they're gonna have to start to get what you're getting at right now. And that's building. That's what knowledge is. That's what I do. That's what I stand by. Whew. Every single day, every Friday I do a lecture. The first thing I do is I turn my air down to about 69. Because the amount of energy that is created makes it feel like it's about 82. Because the Kundalini, my energy cycling, that heat coming up, the spirit working. Whew. So it'd be very, very hot. But yeah, if you have questions, drop new questions in there again. But if you are interested in services, everything from the initial consultation, $30 for that initial consultation. We sit down virtually. We do it during the video chat. The same way I'm doing this lecture, the same way I send you the Skype ID to the meeting. Yeah, I send you the Skype ID to the meeting. We sit here and we build for a good hour. You get everything out within that initial to actually start that process. And from there, I make that consultation. I'm like, okay, cool. I ask the questions within that consultation. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What do you think's holding you back? What do you think's stopping you? And then from those questions, we build your custom plan, because everybody has their own custom path in life. No matter how far you be, you might be way ahead, but you got stuck on something because you didn't learn something from another aspect back. That's what we break down into. And we can go anywhere from guided meditation, get your natal chart together. The guided meditation is to let the new noise in. And then we break down the counseling sessions. What traumas are you stuck within? Everything's based on confidentiality. When we do the counseling, upon you coming into the counseling session, after you agree to the days of the week and the times, I send you that contract of confidentiality. Okay, that's the most important part. Is it confidential? Because I want you to be in a space where you can be open. And then from there, that's when we have the rituals, shadow work, the suicide note. If you have not went on my site, Gotta Co Alchemist, everything's within the description. Gotta Co Alchemist LLC.com for all of the services. You can also email me for a list of the rituals that I do perform during the performance and the breakdown at my email addresses. If you're interested in that part, or you can send me a text via 910-777-7708. That's the number. You can call or text me. If I don't answer the text, if I don't answer the call, it's because I don't know your number. Leave a text first, and I'll call you back. If I don't get you back in that same day, I'm gonna get you. If you text me right now, of course, I'm be shutting down. So I'll be sitting here. We can have a whole text conversation. And then we build from there. Occult Alchemy, myshopify.com. I'm sourcing these tapestries now. Tapestries like this, the wall hangings. I'm sourcing those now. So those will be on my site, but Occult Alchemy and myshopify.com. If you've seen any of the other content or seen any of the other lectures, you see me wearing my light bearer shirt, and you see me wearing a Trippy Guy shirt and a couple other shirts. Those are on the site. And the support, thank you for the supporters. Thank you for the donations. Those are very much appreciated, because that helps me with the ability to keep creating. If you're interested in readings, I do readings via the Cash App. So if you say you hit me in my DM or you hit me in the text, say, hey, can I get a reading? I'll ask you what kind of reading. I'll give you the list of the readings, and I give you the price of the readings. unless I'm running some type of special. I give you the list of the readings, and I tell you what we're going to go through in the reading before we even start your reading. And the reading is during a video call. If you ain't local, I do them all video call. I hit same thing, hit you with the Skype ID, get your reading in. It's a very intuitive reading. From your reading, I'm going to ask you, do you want to do a consultation? That's on you. You can call back later, set it up. If you have not tuned into the God Hour podcast, that's the only thing I didn't put in the description. I'll change that later. God Hour podcast, new episode drops 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday. This week's episode was Give Me Liberty, I Choose Death. That is a very key aspect because some of the stuff I went over in the night's lecture, it's coming deeper from that podcast. So that's one body of light that you get that verbal early on, and you can, those notes you put to these notes and then you build. What else? That was about it. If you follow me on Facebook, Papa Lucy Sunday service will be in effect. I didn't do it last week because my brother and the guy Kev, he was on Dreamwise, and he had his Saturday Sunday service. I was like, yo, I'm always supporting motherfuckers' growth. So like I was on their support. I was there watching his listening to him on there. But yeah, Sunday service, Papa Lucy Sunday service, Facebook, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might stream it. I might give Instagram a little taste of it. Don't know yet. But I usually do that. And if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on Facebook, it's setcarlonegus at gmail.com because they will not allow me to change my name. setcarlonegus at gmail.com. setcarlonegus is my Facebook, and Papa Lucy 666. Papa Lucy 6. No, is it Papa? Yes, Papa Lucy 666 is my IG. Tune in to both of those Monday through Thursday. I do the 7:45 a.m. because we are quarter past crazy. We rising. We are quarter past the mundane. We rising, so we crazy for rising. Meditate and elevate. Little basic guided meditation, mantra for the week, little talk for the week. We break that down. Different topic Monday through Thursday. And Friday like this, we do the Friday night lectures. Subscribe, share, let the information do what it's supposed to do. Let it invoke thought. Let it invoke the emotion. Let it trigger the trauma. Let it open some shit up. Let it open up doors. The keys open up doors. These are keys. These are those gems. These are some of those gems. These are some of the keys. Let it open up that door. Let what's behind that door come out into the surface. Because until you let it come to the surface, you really ain't doing shit, but letting it stay on the data, letting that data stay on the floor. It looked nice. All those onks and all the crystals, they look nice, but how you applying to enhance? That's the main thing. How you applying what you learn to enhance? And if you're applying it and it's not enhancing anything, then it ain't real knowledge. Or at least it's not the knowledge that you need. Study all, follow none. But yeah. This little I will lift my computer up, but nah, we ain't gonna do that. We get more into the I'm listening to tonight's binaural beat. It brought to you by YouTube, of course. Manifest miracles and release fear. Remove all negative from your mind. Healing music. It's at 693 hertz. YouTube channel. Yeah. I might put that link in the description too. Everything that I do is subsequently to build a vibe. But yeah. My phone's already lighting up with a lot of messages and some stuff. So, yeah. Till next Friday. If you are interested, also on the site, I forgot to say Alcoholic Alchemist. If you have information on venues and spaces in your city where you're at for lecture venues, send me that in the email, because I'm looking for venues and I'm looking for spots to do my first in-person lecture, taking it to that next level, because you know that in live energy is always different. If you know of venues and spots in your neighborhood, like where you're at in your city, send them to me via the setcarlonegus email. No, send it to me via the Papa Lucy 666 email, so I can research those, because later on towards this middle, after the 4th of July, that's when I'm really gonna start going heavy into looking for those. And I want to pop up and do that build like that. But like we always say around this time, I love you. We love us. We the best. We the original. Not everybody gonna make it, and that's all right. That's more for us. Yeah. Share. Hit the like button. Hit the bell, and let that knowledge do what it's supposed to do. I see y'all next week. Ashe.